Hi everyone, I'm Adam Brady of Straight Blast Warrior JKD and RevisedReality.com. Welcome back to Kettlebell Basics. This is the 7th video, which is on combinations. So I'm going to show you some essential combinations, some of my favorites that we can draw on to build some great kettlebell training attributes. So it's not just about the exercises themselves, although you can get amazing experiences in training by just focusing on the nuances and tweaking the swing, the clean, the press, the squat, the get up and the snatch on their own in isolation as separate exercises. But when you link them together in different exercise combinations or ladders, you're going to derive so much amazing benefit from putting them together in a way that has so much power behind them, and you get so much bang for your buck in a very short amount of time, where you could do, you could spend maybe like 30 minutes working on a specific exercise and working the details and the nuances of them, or you could take maybe 10-15 minutes and work a combination and get an incredible workout. So I don't recommend moving on to these combinations until you've really started to master a lot of the basic movements and have become really comfortable with them and how your body should move and how to move the kettlebell correctly and safely. But once you do, what I'd like to do is kind of lead you through these 5 different essential combinations that I like to use on a regular basis, and then you can add those or incorporate them into your training. Just a few things about why combinations are so powerful in this case is that it's first going to impact your breathing and make you adapt your breathing to the particular movement. So if you remember, we have ballistics, which are the short, explosive, powerful, snappy movements, and then we have the grinds, which are the slow, controlled exhalation, inhalation, bracing your whole body. So when you link and weave these together, it really creates a whole different animal. So you're going from one to the other and back and forth, so you really have to master your breathing cycle and be in complete control of that. So it's a really, really powerful way to do that. Increase your oxygen consumption and make sure that your cardiovascular system is strong and capable of handling the load. So it's a really great benefit for your overall breathing. Secondly, it really helps develop that mental toughness that I talked about in the first video. You have to really get to a point with some of these combinations or progressions where you have to, now this is not to compromise safety. You have to always be safe with your movements, but once you get comfortable with them, you have to know when you can flip that mental switch just to say, I can push through this. I can handle this. Like when you're in snatches and you're like up to maybe, I don't know, 80 or 70, 75, and you're just running out of gas, you have to find it deep within to pull that up so that you can finish and get to that 100 number. So it's a matter of pushing yourself to the point where you know that you are capable of doing a little bit more. And that's the amazing thing about kettlebell training. It brings out this mental toughness where it's a feedback loop. Your mind tells your body what the body can do, the body then feeds back to the mind, and then you get into this new groove of how strong you really are, and you bypass some of your old limiting beliefs. Now, as I said, it's important to keep a conscious awareness of your safety and not compromise that. But when you've got this mental toughness aspect and you can push through and drive, you will be amazed at the reserves of strength that you're able to pull back from that. So form is so very important as we make our way through these different combinations, so I can't emphasize that enough. It's not a matter of going from exercise to exercise and just going as fast as you can. If at any point your spine's not neutral or your form is starting to collapse, stop. Don't risk getting injured because you're just trying to rip through the sets and beat a number. It's not about beating the clock. It's not about beating a number, especially if it works against what your body is capable of today. Today's workout might be different than last week's. So you have to listen to what your body is capable of doing so you don't get injured, because if you do get injured, that can lay you up for weeks or months. So don't risk that. Make sure that you move in a controlled, progressive, safe manner that allows your body to get the most out of every workout and every combination. So the last thing I want to talk about is ladders. If you've never experienced a training ladder before, basically think of it like climbing up to a peak and working your way back down. With traditional weight training, there's this idea of progressive resistance in which maybe you're doing, say, curls, and the first set you're doing maybe 12 or 15. Then you increase the weight, and then maybe you just do 10. And then you increase the weight again, and you do 8, increase, and then you do 6, and then you're done. A ladder takes you up and brings you back down. So maybe I'm doing 5 snatches on one hand, 5 snatches on the other hand, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, bring the whole way up to 10, and then I come back down. So it's this coming up and going down concept. So you'll see that in some of what we're doing here. So with that said, I want to get right into these combinations. The first of them really isn't so much a combination, it's just a really fundamental workout, which is very, very simple. It's just building yourself up to being able to do 100 kettlebell swings with your regular swinging weight. So you can either do this broken down into individual sets. You can do it in sets of 10. You can do it sets of 30, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. Or you can just go the whole way through 100. That's the ultimate goal, is building up to just being able to swing for 100 reps completely, the whole way through, breathing, keeping focused, staying aware of what you're doing with each and every moment. And when you are doing 100 at a good, comfortable pace, that should get you somewhere in the 3 to 4 minute time range. Like I said, we're not worried about beating the clock. I just want you to have an idea of how long it would take normally. If you're just going at about this pace, that'll eventually take you to about 3-4 minutes, depending on how fast you're trying to rip it. And that is not the right term, but how quickly you're moving. So what I meant by breaking it down into sets of 10 or sets of 30, you have the option of just doing a set of 10, good form, park the kettlebell, and then take a breather. Maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds, whatever you need, get back in position, do another set. So I sometimes like to use little counting stones or something where I can just kind of keep track of how many sets I've done. But the idea behind this is just to work your way through building up 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 until you eventually get to 100. That will take a little bit longer. That will take closer to 5 or 6 minutes to do that, to complete that. But still, you're going to be building up the strength to get you to that point. The second option is in sets of 30, and the reason I break it down into sets of 30 is it gives me the option to do a set of 10, 2 hands, a set of 10 with 1 hand, a set of 10 with the other hand, and then I can park it, take a breather, and build up from there. Same thing, eventually making your way up, and then you can just throw on. So that would be, you would do that 3 times and then just do an additional set of 10 to get you to 100. Otherwise, if you've got the strength and the form and you can make it to 100, great. But don't push the whole way through to 100 until you're comfortable, until your form is locked in, until your breathing is good. You may even want to start with a smaller kettlebell and work your way up from there. Because you're going to find as you go into those higher numbers, the fatigue will set in. And with the kettlebell swing, the fatigue that's going to hit you probably first is your grip strength. And you're going to start to, your wrists are going to get tight, your forearms are going to get tight, lots of lactic acid buildup, so you have to take your time, be careful, work with a weight that's comfortable for you. So that's the 100 swing. So it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really fall into a combination that I need to show you so much. You can basically build on that from the swing video. So try that on your own and see if you can eventually progress up to 100 swings. All right, so the second combination is one of my favorites. It's a combination of a swing, a clean, a press, and a squat. So thinking about these 4 exercises, the swing and the clean, those are ballistics. Then you've got the press and the squat, which are both grinds. So you're alternating back and forth, and your breathing has to change with both of these. So let me show you what this looks like. So getting in position behind the kettlebell, you know the routine, but always follow that good safety protocol. Sink your weight down, nice neutral spine, hinge from the hips. Starting with one hand, opposite arm out. We're going to start with a swing, hike back, and onto a clean. Clean, now press, lower. Now keeping it racked here, we're going to squat, and then up. And now we're going to switch sides, do the same thing on the opposite side. Switch, swing, swing. Clean, press, lower, and squat. Swing back, and park it. So that's a combination. So if you haven't practiced the rack squat much, you want to do that and make sure you've got good form. Go back to the clean video, go back to the goblet squat video, look those over and make sure that your form is good, because when you're racked here, it's slightly different than when you're holding the kettlebell right in front of you for the goblet squat. It's the same foot placement, it's just your arm's different and your opposite arm needs to be out for balance. So you can control this as you come down and make your way through that movement, but the same mechanics apply. Same slow breathing, same controlled movement. So you can see with this combination, you've got the swing, boom, explosive. The clean, boom, explosive. The press, lower back down. And then the squat, breathing slow, coming back up. So you're going from to, then you do a swing to swing to the other side, and then you do that again. Same thing. So what I typically do is somewhere 5 to 10 repetitions each side. So you're going to find somewhere after you've done maybe 3 rounds that you're really good, your heart rate's going, but you're going to have to control it, because as soon as you go from the swing and the clean, which are explosive, and you get back down here, rack position for the press and the squat, you have to control your breathing. So it is just a great combination that you can work your way through. And if you can't do the squat, maybe you've got some knee issues right now, you can always do the first 3, and you'll still get the grind movement of the press. So it would just be a swing, a clean, and a press, lower back down, switch swing, and the same thing on the opposite side. So great combination just to go from explosive movement to slow grinding movement, back and forth, back and forth. Take your time. You really have to control your breathing for this one. Okay, next one that I really enjoy is called the quadruple crush. So what we're doing essentially is we're crushing the kettlebell in the goblet squat position most of the time through this movement. It consists of a curl with 2 hands, a double press over your head, and then a tricep press lowers it back down, press up, lower back down into goblet squat position, and then a goblet squat. So these are pretty much all grinding movements, long, extended inhalation and exhalation, controlled movement the whole way through. So let me show you what this one looks like. When we start for this one, as opposed to the swing where we've got that warm-up space, just like the goblet squat, you want to be framed up directly over the belly, your heels pretty much framing that. Slightly narrower position here. You will be going into a goblet squat, but just for the sake of getting up, you want to kind of start from here, hands hanging right in front of you, and you kind of deadlift your position, but it's the same hip hinge, come down, hands on the bell, and then come up. And from here, you can either pop it up to hold it by the horns, or you can make it up, bring it up on your own, but you want to hold the horns right at the base of the belt. So right there, nice and strong, and you're crushing the handle. Nice, strong grip. Elbows hugging your rib cage, good base, as always. Lower the kettlebell down, full extension. First move is the curl. So bring up the curl position. Now we're going to switch. Hook your fingers or your thumbs underneath the horns. Good grip, press together, and now we're going to press overhead. Lock it out. From here, get ready. Lower the kettlebell down until you tap the back of your neck with the handle. Deep breath in. Bring it back up. Lower back down. Holding the handles once again. You might want to readjust your feet just a little bit for a good goblet squat position. Elbows in. Deep breath in. And come down. Press back up. So that counts as 1. When you're done, you lower it back down, same way you started, nice and safe to keep that good position. So what's important about this movement is that you are braced, you're strong, you're controlled the whole way through. Up, press, lowering back down. One quick note about the mechanics for the tricep press. Keeping your elbows close to your head as you can, and then lower it back down, tap it. This is probably going to put the most isolation exercise fatigue on your specific muscle group, in this case the tricep, than any other exercise. So be mindful of the weight. Don't use an exceptionally heavy kettlebell until you test this out, work your way up. Like, I can do this with a 44 pounder, but I'm not going to risk my thumb strength being able to support the 53 pounder or something bigger if I don't have that full capacity to be safe. So just be mindful of that. Now, what I typically do is at least 4 or 5 rounds of these, and then when I'm done, I will come down into a goblet squat position and finish out with maybe 5, 10, 15 curls down in goblet squat position. So you can also do those standing just if you like. It's a great supplementary exercise just to focus on your biceps, whether you're curling like this, nice controlled movement, or in the goblet squat position. Go back a little bit so you can see here. Here we are, goblet squat. Come down, elbows stay pried inside here, and then you lower down, and then back up. Which you can do for repetitions. It's kind of like, because of your elbow against the inner part of your thigh, it's like a preacher curl. You've got that extra support in base, so you can go through, and it's a great way to work your bicep and your grip strength, is holding on to the kettlebells. So that's the quadruple crush. So working that nice, slow grind movements the whole way through it, even though it's not some of the same exercises that you typically do, working on the curling, the pressing, back and forth in the goblet squat. It just helps to round out and give you some additional things to play with. Okay, so now we're going to work our way up to some real high impact ballistics. So if you notice, the quadruple crush was all kind of grinding, breathing, slow, controlled movement. Now we're going to go to the opposite extreme. We're going to go into all ballistic movements, and this is to help build your snatch progression up. So if you remember in the previous video when we talked about the snatch, the high pull is an essential part of building your form to get comfortable with a good snatch. So what this combination will be a combination of a swing, a high pull, and a snatch. And you can weave these combinations together however you like, in whatever way works best for you. The idea is that through gentle, progressive repetitions, you're going to grease that groove. This movement will become more and more familiar and more fluid over time. So I strongly recommend that you add this in to building up what your snatches could look like. So I'm going to show you two different versions of how you could progress with this. The first is just going to be a simple alternating left and right, swing, high pull, snatch, switch, back and forth. So here's what this looks like. Good position for a one-arm swing, hinge, grab the bell, arm out, sink your hips, take a deep breath in on a hike back, and swing, then high pull, then snatch, switch, swing, high pull, snatch, swing, switch. Again, swing, high pull, snatch. One more time, switch, swing, high pull, snatch, and park. So you can alternate back and forth like this for as long as you can, comfortably and safely, continuing to work that form. The more you do it, the more you're going to find that that snatch eventually just glides up there, nice and easy. So the other way that you can work this, especially if you're just starting out and you've done your warm-up, and this is going to be, say, your workout for the day or part of it, you can just do 10 kettlebell swings with each arm. So 10 on the right, switch, 10 on the left, switch, 10 high pulls on the right, switch, 10 high pulls on the left, and then one more switch gets you up to 10 snatches, or whatever number works best for you. So sometimes, depending on the weight I'm working on, maybe I'm just doing 7. Other times I do 10, and these are all swing movements. When you think about it, everything is that same hip drive. So this is basically, at the end, if you do 10, then you're doing 30 swings essentially on the right and 30 on the left. So that ends up being like 60 swings total. So that's an option of how you can continue to work that up. And if you work that, and if you say, maybe I'm going to do a set of 12, then you're going to find at the end of that, you're completely gassed, your form is better, everything gets smooth. And like I said, you don't have to rush between, you can take your time, really take advantage of that 0G rest point here where the kettlebell just kind of floats for a moment, because that's the only break you're going to get unless you set the kettlebell down. And if you have to set it down, that's okay, but just move at a comfortable pace to build yourself up to where your lung capacity can handle it, especially when you're building up towards snatches. Okay, the last combination that I'd like to show you is another one that really has a great combination of ballistic and grind movements kind of hooked together, and this one is a ladder that I talked about, and it's almost like two cars passing on a hill. So you've got one car coming downhill and one car going uphill. The car coming downhill in this case is the swing. The car coming uphill is the goblet squat. So basically what happens is you're going to start with 10, in this case, 10 two-handed swings coming down this ladder. The goblet squat, on the other hand, is going to start with 1 and then make its way up the ladder. So you're starting with 10 kettlebell swings and then 1 goblet squat. Then 9 kettlebell swings and 2 goblet squats. 3, and you make your way, that would make 8 and 3, 7 and 4. They pass on the road, and then it switches, and you've got 5 of each, and then it continues. You'll feel the burn switch over. You're going from this high, heavy-duty breathing of the swing, and then there are fewer and fewer swings, and there are more and more goblet squats involved. So let me show you a little bit. If I were just to do, say, 3 or 4 of these, just to give you an idea of how you could build this. This one is an absolute great exercise to really get your heart rate going and help you master that control. And the thing you have to be careful with is just the transition. You want to make sure you set the kettlebell down safely and move from one to the next. There are different ways to do this. I feel more comfortable after I've done my swings, park it, bring it up, and then go from there. Other people, sometimes they stop the swing and then they just bring it right here and they bring it up. You have to be careful with your lower back if you're going to do that. So my preference is to set it back down and then just take a beat to bring up the kettlebell safely for the goblet squat. Regardless, here's what it looks like. Hinge the hips, wrap, snap, load your hips, and we'll do 1, 2, 3. Park, bring it back, up, and 1 goblet squat. Lower it back down, reposition, load, and 1, 2. Park, pop it up. 1, 2. You can lower it down from here. Position, last one. 1. Park, bring it back, pop it up. And now we'll do 3. 1, 2, 3. Lower the kettlebell down. And that's just 3. And I can feel my heart rate's up, my legs are really heating up. So if you can imagine doing that to 10 swings, 10 goblet squats, there will be a point where usually right around 7 goblet squats, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can make it through. If at any point, this goes for all the combinations in all the movements in kettlebell training. If at any point your form starts to collapse, abort, stop. Give your body the chance to recover. Make sure you can breathe. Make sure that you're going to be able to continue to move safely. Because when you get gassed out, your mind starts to go into fight or flight and you panic. Your breathing starts to get compromised. And then to recover from that or to feel safe, you're going to compromise your form. Compromised form will lead to injury. So it's really, really important to be mindful, to be present as you're making your way through these things, these combinations and progressions and any other. RKC has an entire book of all these different combinations and routines that the senior RKCs have put together, and they're amazing, but you always have to listen to your body and be careful because it's going to give you feedback. It's going to give you signals and say, okay, we're good to proceed, go for lunch. But there are times when it's going to say, that is not the right choice today, and I need more time to rest, or I need to make sure that my body feels right before I do some of these exercises. As I mentioned in the first video, kettlebell training can be extraordinarily intense, both from the breathing, the mental toughness, and just the nuances of the specific movements. So always listen to what your body's telling you, be safe, have fun with these. You're always welcome to leave comments or reach out to me at revisedreality.com if you'd like some more information. But so once again, just so you can remember these, 100 swings, try to work your way up to that. If you can do 100 swings, then you either raise the weight or just make that kind of like a regular daily staple. And before you know it, you've done your 100 swings, it's going to start to rechange your body, to reconfigure things, and really just give you the body and the strength that you've always wanted. Second combo, swing, clean, press, squat. Great combination for working with your breath and all these other focus areas of the kettlebell training. Quadruple crush, all focused on grinding movements, slow, deep, controlled breathing. Swing, high pull, snatch, all ballistics to really get your heart rate up and to work toward that progression of eventually doing snatches for high reps. And finally, the swing, goblet, squat, ladder. 10 and 10 is your goal. But if you can eventually make your way up higher than that, or any other combination, if you want to go do an RKC or a Strong First certification and you want to do the snatch challenge, there are great videos and there are great instructionals on how to build your progressive strength so you can do that, because it takes time, it takes focus, different training plans to build you up to that, so you've got the strength, you've got the lung capacity, and you can make sure that you make it through that without any trouble. So there are some combinations. There are some of the ones that I turn to very frequently. I love, my students seem to like them a lot as well. So incorporate those into your training. Hopefully they work well for you. As I said before, if you have questions, just reach out. I'll be happy to help you with those. But thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed learning about kettlebell training. As I mentioned, it's one of my favorite ways to train. If I had just one piece of equipment to work with and nothing else, body weight and kettlebell exercises. So very powerful to build your body and build the strength and lung capacity, the overall full body workout that you can get from this very simple piece of equipment. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next series on the Indian mace or the Gurda.